and it generates all the schedules, all the drawings, all the sheets, all 2D and 3D views from the same source. So all the connected outputs are actually taken from the single database. So anything which is changed here will be updated in all the respective views. So another advantage, so for example, if you have started with a project and you have started designing your project in Revit, and you have all the required uh, elements in your model, then when different discipline people collaborate together, there are chances of having clashes in your model. So this is one example where we had this kind of data center where we had we link this model with architecture and structure model, and I found few clashes here. That this was clashes. These HVAC ducts were clashing with structural beams and also clashing with some architectural elements. We found individual instances of those clashes, and based on those, we created a clash report in this case. So in this way, you can also coordinate together with different discipline models and can create a clash report. And once clashes are identified, then a respective person will be assigned with that clash, and they can change in real time. So in Revit, change management is very easy. So revisions are actually update automatically. So whatever clashes we got, you can update them in one of the views, on all the related views will automatically update, which as a result will minimize the chances of error and omissions. So as you can notice on the right side of my screen, in this animation, we have captured this part of animation where this pipe is updated, that this connector is removed from there, this check valve is removed from there, and now the revision is that this pipe is going to be continuous. And since changes are updated in 3D view, the rest of the plan views and section views are automatically getting updated. So in this way, revisions are automatically updated. Since we are working in 3D in this environment, BIM model is about creating a virtual asset. We are creating a 3D of the entire project. So obviously we can visualize that in 3D. So we can, it is a model-based environment basically. So we are not actually relying on 2D sheets. We are actually extracting 2D results from a 3D model. So it's a model-based approach where we automatically get 3D orthographical and perspective views, and we can obviously get a better visualization of this space. So the people who are not technically aligned may also understand. We can also convey our design to those people who are not maybe technically aligned to understand all these drawings. So for better visualization, we can use it. So these are few images of the realistic view of this software. These are not rendered images. These are just realistic views. You can use online render service, or maybe you can render it on your system as well. And you can also create walkthrough by using this. So not only 2D, you are also creating 3D as well. Similarly, now talking about 2D aspect of your model, it automatically enhances the documentation quality also. So like you're developing a 3D model, along with it, automatically plan view, section view, like in this image, it is shown that from a same project, a section, a 3D section, a plan, and 3D view is generated. This is an orthographic 3D view. So this is one of the projects. It automatically manages through the model. The documents will automatically update. So whatever changes you make, you just need to focus on design, and all the respective drawings will automatically update. And that would be consistent in all the details. So this is one of the detail output of one of the projects. Also, obviously, it reduces manual coordination and also reduces the chances of error. Whereas in 2D workflow, what we need to do is to manually update all the section views, all the 3D views, all the all plan views. But in this case, we just need to change our design in any one of the view, and all the related details will automatically update. Similarly, obviously, coordination is not manual. That is why the cost of change will be minimized. Like in one of the earliest slide, Chakresh sir mentioned about McLeamy curve, where we get a point when we lose the chances of changing our project. So in that case, we can do all the changes. We can run all the clashes in our virtual asset and do all the changes in virtual asset, and we need not to bother about changing our design after execution of the project on site. So that in that sense, it minimizes the cost of change and manual coordination. And you are not worried about updating document also. All the documents will be updated at all the time. It has an extensive BIM library, and that is why we call it building information modeling, because information is stored in each and every building component which we are using, be it a 2D component or 3D component. All these 2D and 3D components actually work like real world in Revit. I'll give a small example here, which is, I think, more relatable to those who are not familiar with Revit. That if you create, for example, or maybe you have a picture of a door, for example, and if you view that picture in a picture viewer, for that picture viewer, that picture of door, if you check the properties of that picture, you'll get properties in the form of pixels. But that software doesn't understand that picture is actually of a door. As a human being, as a person, you can understand by looking at that picture that is a picture of a component of a door, let's say. But software doesn't understand that. If it is a picture of a cat or a dog or a door, that software will show its property in pixels. Similarly, for example, like most of you are from design part as well. You also are designers here. So you might have worked in AutoCAD, obviously. So in that case, when you draw a block of AutoCAD, and suppose it's a block of a door, let's say, and when you check the properties of that block of a door, it will show properties in the form of lines and in the form of polylines or maybe arc. So the point is that software is not capable enough to identify that block as a door. Similarly, if you have a 3D view of a similar example of a door, for example, and you are checking that 3D view in any software which is not a BIM software, let's say SketchUp or maybe 3ds Max, that software will recognize it as a solid geometry, but will not recognize that as a component of a real world. Whereas in BIM software like Revit, if you have a family, we call components family in Revit. So if you have a family or a component of a door, this software is capable of recognizing that component as a real world door itself. And that is why it automatically compiles all the similar properties, families all together and creates a list out of it. And that list we actually refer as schedule. So we need to actually understand how family works in Revit, and then we can easily quantify any component in BIM model. So it has a smart library. Not only about the component, it also have a smart smart material document. So in material document, you can also simulate material like in real world. You can also add factors like SHGC value in glass, or maybe U value or R value, or any physical or thermal property which is related to the real world property in Revit as well. And then you can also run further analysis and simulation based on those properties. And according to those properties, you will also get quantities intact. So since it should have a smart library, then only you can quantify better. So I'll discuss about library a bit in detail also. So there are three types of families in Revit. So those who already know Revit, they know that there are three types of families in Revit. So if I divide any component of Revit, there are three types: loadable family, system family, and in-place family. Loadable family are those families which we can load from outside. We can save them as a block. Like if I compare this workflow with AutoCAD, like we save blocks in AutoCAD, like block of a door or block of a vehicle or block of trees. Similarly, we can save these families as a loadable family. And some examples being any component like door, window, column, beam. So I have added a picture of a column in this case for reference. Similarly, system families are those families which we do not load from outside. Here, system refers to the project template. So anything which we create here, we create inside a project template. And once we are working in a project, we need to decide according to the complexity of the project, where do we, or according to the design requirement, the position of the walls and the floors and roofs accordingly. So walls, floors, roofs, we do not load from outside. We actually uh, uh, recreate those components according to the project requirement inside the project template itself. So any component which we do not load from outside are referred as system families. So walls, floors, roofs, railings, these staircases, these are actually specific to every project. These are these are divided under system families. Then there is third kind of family also, that is in place family. In place families are those families which we need to create unique for a particular project. Like in this example, the picture I have placed of a column, and in this column, I have placed a table family here. So this table component is actually dependent for its shape on the column family. So in this case, two different components are interacting with each other. So if there are changes in the column, for example, column size revises, then the size of the table might also revise. So if you need to create a relationship between two types of families for their shapes and sizes, then we need to also create families in respect to other family shape. So if we need to create a particular component with respect to another component, then we might need to use in place families also. These are unique families which we can create inside the project template itself. These are project specific families. We cannot load these families from one project to another project, although we can copy and paste them, but we cannot load it from one project to another project. So these are family types in Revit. Before moving ahead into quantification part of Revit, we need to also understand the division or the hierarchy of the families. The families are actually divided into discipline first. So if I check all the components in Revit, so first they are divided by discipline, then they are divided by categories. And actually the term family is adopted from this third order of this hierarchy. And this third order is actually known as family. Although in general, every component in Revit is now referred as family, but the original term family was given at the third order of this hierarchy. The components are basically, Revit components are divided into first discipline, then category, and third order is about family. And then fourth order is about type. And then we can create multiple types, and then that becomes instances. So majorly, these are four divisions which we need to follow. Discipline is, as you can understand by its name also, are divided on the basis of working disciplines, like maybe architecture families, structure families, mechanical families, electrical families. So families are first divided according to discipline. And that is why every discipline person can work in Revit on their own file. So mechanical engineer can also find their own set of families. As architects will also find their own set of families, can also create them. The structure guy can also find their own set of families, and according to their discipline, they can switch between different disciplines. And at the end, when design is complete, they can collaborate together on a central model and can convey their design to the client. Then second order of the family is categories. So secondly, they are divided by categories, and categories are divided on the basis of their functions. For example, I have a wall. So any kind of wall will be divided under the category walls. You might have different methodologies of creating walls. You might have different construction process of creating walls. For example, you might in a large scale project, you will have several kinds of walls, starting from concrete wall to brick wall to dry partition to glazing walls, or maybe some ACP partitions. All those walls will fall under the same category, although their functions are kind of similar, but their shapes, their sizes, and their construction methodologies are different. Similarly, another example, which is, I think, more relatable, that columns, if I talk about columns in Revit, all types of structural columns fall under the same category. Although the construction methodology of concrete column is way different than than any steel column. So steel column will have steel column, concrete column, and maybe wooden column, they all fall under the same category because they serve the same function. Then on the third order of this hierarchy comes family. Family are those components which are divided on the basis of their shapes or on the basis of their forms or maybe construction methodology, which I was talking about. So for example, if I talk about columns again in this case, so I section column will have a same family group. Circular column will have a different family, or maybe hollow section family will have the same, will have different family, and then a concrete column will fall in another family group. So families are divided according to how they are constructed on site and what shape and form they are actually governing. In walls, we have a basic wall, curtain wall, and stack wall families. Those who work in Revit extensively, they actually know about this already. Then when, for example, I have I section column and I've decided to place I section family in my project, but floor to floor that I section might be differing. Suppose from floor 1 to floor 2, I section size is larger than floor 2 to floor 3 maybe. So suppose over the height, the size of the column is changing. In that case, we can create different types of that column. Or in this case, I've taken the example of wall. So these types are divided on the basis of changes in the sizes. Primarily, they all types fall under the same family. So types, you can also, if I take this term family literally, then types are actually siblings of each other. So types are just mere duplicate copies of each other with just changes in sizes. For example, you have a brick wall family, then you might have different sizes of brick walls. For example, 115 mm brick wall, 230 mm brick wall, 1.5 brick wall, 2 brick walls. So you might have different sizes of brick walls. All those types will fall under the same family. Here's one example of Revit families. So when we talk about a family in Revit, that falls under the third order of the hierarchy. And family in their shape, in their sizes, and their construction methodologies are same basically. And types are merely their duplicate copies. So this is a family of column, an ionic column, I guess. Okay. Another section of today's session is quantification through Revit. So now you have the knowledge of family. You have created, for example, you have created a model. You have detected the clashes. Now you have changed whatever clashes are identified. That now you made the changes and you have appropriately assigned families or components to your model. Then you are ready to quantify those. You can get quantities from Revit. So we can get quantity extraction in the form of component as well. For example, if one needs to get quantities only about the footing, they can get the quantities about the footing. They can also get material takeoff about a particular component. We can also get different structural family quantities. We can also get soil-related quantities as well. So if you are working on a contoured project and you need to calculate cut and fill volume, Revit can automatically do that. Similarly, you can also get quantities phase-wise in this case. For example, your project is in 4 phases, and it is over 5 years of time, for example, and the rates of those and the cost of the material is changing from year 1 to year 2. Then in that case, you can also quantify your project according to the phases. And phase-wise, you can change material properties, and material can be quantified under different phases. You can also get bar bending schedule, although this is done on higher level of detail, that is LOD 400 usually. So we can also create bar bending schedule, but for that we need to first create a reinforcement model. So we need to add reinforcement inside our actual structure model, and then Revit will automatically calculate bar bending for you, and you can create a bar bending schedule, an extensive bar bending schedule here. It can, so now we learned that it can automatically calculate a schedule depending on the type of family we have used. So which obviously improve the visibility of the schedule and quantities. Now your quantities are automatically extracted, automatically separated, automatically grouped according to different families. Similarly, you can get a comprehensive database on a single sheet. Now, because in Revit, schedules are also considered views, like any other view. Like 3D view is a compilation of visual representation of the components. Similarly, textual representation of the components is, or in the tabular form, you get a schedule. The schedule is another view, but it is in textual form. So changes will automatically reflect in all views, including schedules also, that we already learned. That so we need not to actually worry about updating quantities manually, and that will automatically be updated according to whatever changes we make to the model. So this was all from our side. Now we will switch to live demo of the project, and we'll discuss about getting quantities live on a Revit project. But before that, I think we should take a small break, and I'll try and answer some questions which I'm already getting in Q&A box. And then after, I think, Pallavi, 10 minutes of break, we'll move back to live Revit session. Okay, then I'm putting my mic on mute.
So there are a lot of questions which are similar. One of the questions is, what is the system requirement for Revit, to install Revit in their systems?
I think we can share our IT experts number here, and they can refer to them about.
Yeah.
I've got another question to how to get cut and fill quantities. In our live demo, we'll discuss about getting quantities from various components. If time remains, I'll also try and demonstrate cut and fill quantities. Otherwise, you can also join us separately after the session, and we can help you in getting quantities for cut and fill. Another very specific question, that ducting quantity as per gauge wise is possible. Yes, to my knowledge, it is possible. But since this webinar is not that specific, you can contact us. We'll share our contact number at the end of this session, and we can help you in getting those queries solved. Another question, clash report in Excel can be generated automatically. This is a 2-day workshop actually. So tomorrow we'll also discuss about a live link between Revit and Excel using Dynamo. I think that part will be helpful for your query. So please stay connected. Another question, how far Revit can be integrated between BIM and GIS? It's a very specific question, and I need to also get more information on this, and then we can get back to you. We have your mail ID, sir. Another very important question, that if the plastering and painting quantity can be possible. Yes, it is also possible, even if you have not added layers in your wall. I'll demonstrate that in our demo also. Another question, that can this software be useful for interior designing? Yes, this will be very useful for interior designing as well. Okay, Raghvendra sir, we have noted your mail ID. Yes, real-time is modeling is possible with Revit LT as well. Agenda work for workshop was already discussed earlier. Although today we'll now left with live demo only. So today we'll discuss about a project and we'll also demonstrate live about the quantities. And after and tomorrow that will be continued as well, and we'll demonstrate another tool from Autodesk, that is Autodesk Takeoff, and we'll discuss about getting quantities from Takeoff as well. And we'll also discuss about live link between Revit and Excel by using Dynamo. So please stay connected. Okay, rest of the questions we'll discuss after this session. I'll also take a 5 minutes off and then we'll switch to live Revit project demo.
I think we can now resume the session. Shoaib sir?
Yeah, okay, Pallavi. I'm resuming the
Yes.
session. I think my screen is already visible. Okay, so this is one such project. I think, yeah, I've opened this project now. I think my screen is visible, Pallavi.
Yes.
Okay. So this is one of the residential projects. This is how this looks. I've created another view for it to get a better look on the material as well. This is still in progress. It's an ongoing project. We can also create drawings out of Revit, like we have created this ground floor working. And then first floor working, I'll show you also. This is first floor plan. So it's a two-story building. This is how you can generate presentation out of Revit as well. And these views are all connected. Like if I make any changes anywhere, every view will automatically update. Now, as you can notice, tabs are already divided according to disciplines. Like in system tab, we have HVAC panel, in plumbing panel, then electrical panel. I'll go to this tab. This is view tab. Like I said, schedules are under views. And we have different types of schedules here. We can get quantity and schedule part where we can create building elements schedule. This type of schedule is actually helpful for getting number of elements. This is another schedule, graphical column schedule, where we can get graphical representation of the structural column also. Then this is material takeoff, which is helpful for getting subcomponents of a single family. For example, if one family of multiple materials, you can use material takeoff. I'll explain it in detail later. Then we can also create sheet list, like list of drawings which we have created. And this type of schedule can be used. This is for 2D annotation symbols. I'll explain it in detail also. But these are kind of schedules which we can create. This is the last one, that is view list. So we can also accumulate all our views which are in our model and can check it in a list. These are all types of schedules. These are 6 types of schedules which are possible in Revit. So this is the Revit model which we'll work on. So now talking about the types of schedule first, I'll move to slides again. So types of schedule in Revit are schedule and quantities, like you have seen. Then we have graphical column schedule, then material takeoff, then schedule sheet list, then node block, and view list. Schedule and quantities is about getting the schedule or the table or a list of building components with all its properties. And it is dependent on category actually. So category wise, we can get different schedules. Like wall is a category, column is a category. Like we've already discussed about how families are divided in Revit. So according to the category of any component, we can get building component schedule. But in this schedule, we cannot get into the sub-component of it. For example, if my wall has multiple layers, for example, exterior, I have a stone cladding. In interior side of the wall, I have, for example, maybe cladding of some kind of tile, and in between I have few thermal insulation layers, and I have maybe some other elements, some other materials also, but we cannot quantify that just by using schedule and quantities option. The schedule and quantities option is helpful for those elements which we need to count, which we need to get quantities in terms of counts. For example, number of doors, number of windows, or number of maybe pipe fittings, or number of different elements. In that case, we can use schedule and quantities option. Then we have graphical column schedule option, which obviously creates, as its name suggests, a structural column schedule with column shape graphics. For example, if you have a I section in your columns. Then you might have C sections, somewhere you might have different shapes of columns. So for structural purpose, you can use this schedule. You need not to add graphics from outside. It will pick graphics from the family itself. Then we have material takeoff. Like I was talking about, that this first option, schedule and quantity, is only good enough for getting number of components. Although it also gives volume and area of the component, but it cannot subcategorize those components according to materials. Where if we need to subcategorize our schedules on the basis of material as well, then we use material takeoff. So this option allows us to create a schedule of subcomponents of any category on the basis of different materials applied to that category of family. So for example, like I've already given an example that if I have a wall with multiple layers, or if I have a furniture of multiple materials, for example, in my furniture, I also have wood. Some part is also of steel maybe, and there's also a glass inside that furniture. For example, if I have a furniture of a table, then that table might have a glass in center, or legs of steel, and a tabletop of wood. And so in this component, I have 3 types of materials. And if I need to quantify all the material types, then we can use material takeoff instead of schedule and quantities. Similarly, sheet list is about creating a list of drawings in a project. So whatever drawing we created, like I've shown you ground floor working and first floor working, you can compose that on sheet, and those sheet we can create a list of sheet in a project as well. Then notebook is about annotative symbols. So sometimes when components are not available, or if that much of detail is not required, then we create 2D generic 2D details. And in those details, we sometimes place 2D components. For example, unless if it is not, for example, if for an architect's point of view, because I'm an architect, because most of the time architects need not to generate fabrication drawings, but we need to give a tentative detail of, for example, let's say fixing of baluster. In that case, we are not going to model every bolt which is holding that baluster, for example, or any other component, a similar component, for example, alignment of reinforcement or something. In that case, we can use 2D symbols instead of 3D families. And those 2D symbols can also be quantified. So for example, if I've created a 2D family of a bolt, and number of bolts, if you want to calculate out of those 2D components, then you can also create a node block schedule. Similarly, we have a view list. Obviously, as the name suggests, it creates a schedule of all the views present in our project. But for quantification of a project, these sheet list and view list are not used. We'll discuss these also, but we'll discuss in detail in this workshop about schedule and quantities and material takeoff and graphical schedule also. So these 3 we'll discuss, which are mostly used for quantification in Revit. Now, I'll demonstrate how do we use schedule and quantities, right? So I'll share my Revit screen back. This is the same project. You have already seen this. Okay, have a look here. I'll go for creating new schedule. Okay. So in this project, I have columns also. I'll show you columns first. So for example, if I filter out structural components, so you can filter out according to categories as well. Like I can select multiple categories here, and like layers in AutoCAD, you can switch on and off components, right? So I've just shown the structural part of, and I'm focusing only on columns, let's see. So how many columns are there in this project? I need to get it quantified in the form of schedule, for example. I'll get to schedules option. Yeah, it is here. I'll go for schedule and quantities option. And here, as you can notice, like we discussed already, that families are divided according to disciplines. If I do not select any discipline, I do not get any category of family. I'm selecting structural discipline only for now and going for structural columns. Here, the name of this schedule is taken, and phase-wise, like I said, quantities can be taken. In this case, I only have one phase. Now we can select fields here. So as you can notice, this list has multiple fields according to the properties of that component. So, okay, Monis sir, I'm getting request that I should go a bit slow also. Okay, so I'm holding it for here to explain that in this schedule properties, as you can notice, I have different fields available, and these fields are actually according to the properties which we have inherited in our family. So according to the family, so we can create families by our own, and after families are created, all those properties of families can be accumulated inside schedule, and those are available in this field list. So we just load these field lists by adding those parameters, because we do not require all the properties. Like we have added family and type. As you can notice in this list, I have different fields. I'm adding base level also from where the column is starting. I'm also going for, let's say, so as you can notice, there are different fields here. I'll go for volume of this column, but we have used concrete column, and the count as well. So, and I'll also take length. That is actually equivalent to height of the column. Okay, volume. Sorry, I'll go again. And then I'll select the length of the column. That is actually height in this case. Cost you may also add, but cost we'll discuss later. And I'll add count first. Okay, let's create schedule first. Okay, so whatever fields we have chosen, those are now available as columns in our schedule. Right? So as you can notice in this schedule, I have a column of each field. Right? So this is how you can create a schedule in Revit. And so, and you can later export it in Excel as well if you want to. So these are all properties automatically taken here, and whatever change we make inside our project, these will automatically update. Okay, then moving ahead. Just a minute. So this was the column schedule. I think my screen is visible. I thought there was a lag. Pallavi, can you please confirm if my screen is visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, so this column schedule I have created, and whatever changes we make to the columns, those will automatically update here. Right? So for example, if I create another column, let's say, and as you can notice, most of the columns are having heights between 3.4 meters to 3 meters, depending on the, because in my case, if I go to some elevation, for example, I'm going to front elevation, as you can notice, the height of floor to floor height in this case is 3 meters, or maybe I'll put up dimension in front of you. So from ground to first, I have 3 meters of height, and from first to terrace, I have again 3 meters of height. Additionally, this column is actually obviously starting from ground level, and below that, I would also have a foundation which is not final yet. That is why I've not placed it. Like I said, it's an ongoing project. So 450 mm of this, because this is rounded off in this case, and this the actual value is 450 mm. So 450 mm of this column is added in this case. So any column which is going from NGL to first floor is of 3.4 meters of height, and any column which is starting from first floor to terrace is about 3 meters. For example, if I go for plan view, I'm going for site plan. Okay. I have another site drawing also. We can also check that. I've also added areas about this. So it automatically calculates area. For example, I've selected the floor plate in this case of the entire building. It shows 102 meters square, and that is what I've written down here. So Revit is actually, we need not to actually focus on 2D views. We just need to focus on on design, and all the views are automatically interconnected. So now I'll create another column, for example, just to give you an overview, and I'm adding one of its size, let's say 200 by 300 column, suppose. and I'm starting this from NGL and directly going up to, sorry, I just starting it from NGL and going up to, let's say, Terrace, right? So this is one of the highest column I have. So this should have, because what I did, I created columns floor wise, but in this case, I've created column which is starting from the lowest level and going up to the toppest level. So the length of the column will automatically, obviously, update. So as you can notice in this case, a column is added as a last field that is 6.4 meters of height, right? You can just press a control key and scroll to check to zoom in into schedule as well. So 6.4 meters of height of new column is added. So whatever, and you can also highlight that in your project as well. For example, if I select this and if I want to specifically check which column I'm talking about, you have the feature to highlight in model as well. You can select a desired field from your project, from your schedule, and can use this tab, highlight in model, and it will automatically highlight, like this is highlighted in plan view. I have got another tab which says, if I am not satisfied with this view, I can show further and it will highlight in other views as well. Like it is highlighted in elevation. Now it is highlighted in 3D view. And if you keep on showing it, it will keep on opening other views and you can simply close it as well. So this is the same element which I've added and can be tracked back from the schedule as well. Similarly, so like I said, if I need to get the count of a particular type of column or particular type of component, then we can use this option that is about schedule and quantities. So for example, if I need to add counts also about the columns, I can go back to, so here under project browser, I got all my schedules accumulated. I'm going for structure column schedule, and we can sort our columns according to their floors as well. For example, I want separate groups for columns which are starting from NGL, and I want separate groups for columns which are starting from first floor. I can simply go for the properties of the schedule, and under the properties, I have an option called grouping and sorting, and I can go for grouping according to their properties as well. So here we can sort by different disciplines, which by different fields which we have used here. So I've used family and type, base level, volume, and length, and those all fields are also available for creating groups as well. So I'm going to group it by, let's say, first family and type, and then I'm going to group them by so I have two families of column in this case. For example, if I group them by family and type, I'll click OK. And as you can notice, 200 by 300 columns are shown separately. They have a separate group because only two columns are of that size, and other 200 by 450 columns have a separate grouping. You can also add a separating line between them. For example, if I go back to sorting grouping option, I can go for blank line as well. And as you can notice, a blank line is added to separate between two types of columns. That can be done with any type of family as well. Similarly, I can also sort them floor wise as well. For example, if I now add sorting grouping floor wise, for example, instead of taking family and type, I can go floor wise. I'll click OK. And as you can notice, NGL column which is starting from NGL has a separate group now, and columns which are on first floor are shown on separate group. For example, instead of adding this column, I want to add as a heading here that columns which are of first group are of NGL, and columns which are in second group are starting from first floor. That is also possible. You go for sorting grouping again and can simply add a header here. And after adding header, if I accept this option, as you can notice, a heading is added to each group. Now I think we do not require to place this column anymore, but I cannot delete this column. If I delete this column, this will actually remove our sorting also, because our grouping is actually done by the same property. So we cannot remove this property, but yes, we can hide a particular column like we do in Excel as well. So what I'll do, instead of repeating this information in our heading and in our columns also, I can simply select one of the columns and can hide them. So I'm hiding it here. And now we are left with two groups, one group of NGL columns having sorted according to families, and then their volumes and lengths are given here. Similarly, another group of columns sorted according to families, and their lengths are also given here. Right? Similarly, we can keep on adding fields. For example, I want a total of this as well, how many columns are used of a particular type. Then we can also add counts. For example, I can go for sorting grouping again, or maybe I can go for fields first. I'll go for fields back, and under the fields, I can anytime remove those fields which are already added, and can also add more fields from the available fields. And fields will be available according to the properties which we have already created for a family. Most of the time, these properties are already created by Revit itself, but you can also create your own custom properties. For now, I'll add count in this case, right? And now counts are also added. For example, I can also choose whether to keep this column at the last or at the beginning. I'm keeping it in the last. So you can also switch by using these arrows to place your columns. I'm accepting this. And as you can notice, every instance of the column is itemized in this case. What I want is not to itemize every instance of the column, because the volume and length are kind of similar for each floor. For floor wise, the length is similar, and obviously volume will be similar also, because in this case, types of columns are same. So what we can do, we can itemize them according to their types. So I can go back to sorting grouping option. I can then sort them by family and type. And according to the last group which we have chosen, we can switch off itemize every instance option. This option allows us to create a line item for every type of, for every instance of that family. But in my case, I want a consolidated result, a consolidated count of the family which is used per floor. So per floor, that is level in this case, I have created a group according to level first, and then I have created a group according to the type of column which is created, and now I'm switching off itemize. Whenever we switch off this itemize option, this picks the property of group from the last instance, like in this case, family and type. So every family and type according to floor will get a single line item. I'll click OK, and you'll see the result. So according to floor, like I already discussed, that on NGL only one type of column, that is size 200 by 450, is used. So they are of 10 counts. Then on first floor, as you can notice, two types of families are used, 200 by 300 and 200 by 450 mm. And in this case, as you can notice, two columns of the same family is used, and another family is of 6 counts. In some cases, you might need not to itemize according to family and type. In that case, you can anytime change the last group of itemization, and then these will be itemized accordingly. Now I'm going for itemizing every instance again, and instead of using count as a field, I can also get a total count as a footer as well. So instead of adding a count as a column, I might need to, in some cases, to add counts as a total. So for that, we can also go back to our fields. I can unload count, for example, and then go back to sorting grouping and add a footer to each family. So every family will be showing its count as a footer in this case. So I'm going for totals only, and or maybe counts and totals. And if I click OK, and as you can notice, this type of family, that is 200 into 450, this type of component is 10 in numbers on NGL. And on first floor, this type of family, that is 200 by 300, is of 2 counts, and rest of them are of another type. Those are 6 counts. So in this way, you can also manage your schedules. Similarly, now I I hope you got the intent of using schedule and quantities in this case. But like I said, schedule and quantities will not identify all the materials which are placed in a particular family. Like in this case, column is having only one material. For example, if I go back to my project view, and if I select only one of the columns, for example, maybe I'll go for ground floor plan and select one of the columns here. I have columns in this case. I'll select this column. And as you can notice, in this column family, I only have one structural material, that is concrete. But for a wall, let's say this wall, it's an interior wall, it's a partition wall. And if I get to its properties, as you can notice in this partition wall, I have several layers. Okay, I'll switch off the line weights, demonstrate it in a better way. I'll select this wall. I'll get to the properties of this wall. And as you can notice, this wall is not of single material. It has multiple layers. If I get to its structure, as you can notice, it has 6 layers in it. So and 6 of those, 2 are of core boundaries, and rest of the layers are containing materials. So in this layer, plywood as a material is applied, as a finish is applied. On the other side of this family of wall, same finish is also applied. Then we, on the exterior side, okay, on the interior side, actually, we have kept waterproofing also, that is a thermal layer. And as a structure, we are using timber joist, or you can call it batten in this case. What I want to get quantities of all the materials separately. So let's try scheduling quantities. If scheduling quantities option can show all the material properties, I'll click OK. And as you can notice, if I go back to schedule and quantities option, I'm going to view tab. There I have this schedules option. I'm going for schedule and quantities again. I'm going to choose discipline wise architecture discipline. And under architecture discipline, I have walls here. I can choose the name of the schedule accordingly and the phase in which this wall is created. In my case, I'm not working in phases. So that is why I'm going by default. And as you can notice, I have again those fields for walls as well. I'm choosing family and type, that is the type of wall. Then I'm going by maybe width of the wall to identify the total width of the wall. Then we may go for, if this is also important, the total length of the wall. Then we can also go by area and the volume of this wall. And let's stick to these fields for now. A schedule is created of all the walls in my project. And like we have already discussed about sorting and grouping, I'll go for sorting grouping in this case. And I just need to check my drywall system. Like if I get back to model view on ground floor, I've already discussed that this wall is actually a wooden partition wall. As you can notice, the name of the wall is wooden partition. So, and it's a drywall category. I've assigned a description to it as a drywall. So any wall which is under the description of drywall, I want to separate their groups. For that, I'll get back to schedules again. That is wall schedule. And this wall schedule is not properly managed. In this case, different types of walls are actually added. What I want is to separate those walls which are used only for dry partition. I can go for sorting grouping, and I can sort them maybe by family and type, and can add headers like we did for columns as well. As you can notice, I have different groups of walls in this case, and still I'm finding it difficult to find that particular group. Although I know the name of that family, the name of that family is wooden partition. So what I want is to only keep this group, and rest of the groups are not of use for now. For example, I do not want to calculate glazing wall in this schedule, or maybe concrete wall in this schedule. I also have concrete wall in this schedule. This is 300 mm concrete wall group. I want to omit all these groups which are not required. For that, we need to introduce filters. So under schedule management, we also have another option after fields under schedule properties that is about filters. We can go to filters option, and under these filters option, we can take one of the properties which we have used. Like I've said, I've described drywall in the description, and I've not taken that field here. So I need to get back to the fields and add description in this case. I've just shown that in your project. I'm going back to filters again. And since this description is now added as a field, I can now use filters or by using this property. I'm going by description, and we have certain options here that if it is equal to or not equal to about some value, we can also go by some specific keyword. So we have different options here. I'm going by equal, and I have few descriptions of walls available here. I just want to keep all those walls which are under the drywall description. I do not want to include concrete wall or brick wall or any other type of wall in this case. This schedule is only, I want to include only dry walls in this case. I'm going by filtering out only dry walls. And once I press OK, as you can notice, only dry wall group is separated from the rest of the wall groups. And later what we can do, we can just rename this schedule by the name. We can rename it by right-clicking on the project browser as well, or otherwise we can go to the heading of the schedule. I think that is more easier way, and can just write any name which we desire. For example, this is a wooden partition wall schedule. So we can create schedule according to any category, and under that category, like I already discussed, the families are actually divided according to the category. So since category might include all those families which we do not require, then we can also use filter option, like which I just introduced. And then according to filter option, we can choose any one of the property and can filter out those families which we do not require by some of the property. We can take any other property as well. For example, width-wise, I only want to take wall which is, let's say, less than 300 mm. If I click OK, concrete walls are not included because those were 300 mm. Right? For example, if I want to take any, so in filter, it's a very powerful option. We can use any property of the wall or maybe any component, like in this case wall, and can use that property to filter out a particular type of family type. So for example, in this case, I want to only include families which fall under the drywall description. And as you can notice, these are filtered out. And I do not want this description to show on my final schedule. I can simply hide this column. And this is how we got the quantities of drywall. For example, now I want to also calculate totals for volume and area. For example, I want to calculate area to intimate my contractor about the total area of the drywall partition which is required, and accordingly he can also contact me for the final cost. So for that we may need to add up this area to get the totals. I can go back to sorting grouping, which we introduced earlier, and can add footer for calculating totals. I can also calculate total number of elements like counts and title of that family. In my case, I already have title in my header. I do not want to use title again in footer. That is why I'm going only for counts and totals. I click OK. And as you can notice, counts are given here, that is 7, but totals are not given here. That we need to further justify. Because any field which is a numeric field can be calculated for totals in this case. In Revit, we need to suggest, we need to specify that particular family for which that particular property for which we need to get totals for. For that, I introduce another property of schedules, which is by the name formatting. Under the formatting, you can choose, you can identify numeric and non-numeric fields. Like name of the family is not a numeric field, so we cannot calculate totals for it. So that is why once I selected family and type field, as you can notice, this field is not available for me and no calculation is written here. Other than that, width, length, area, volume, these fields are of numeric values. These field contains numeric entries. Since these fields are numeric, we can also choose to calculate totals, minimum, maximum for these fields. Obviously, I do not want to calculate total for the width of the wall because I require individual width of every wall. I also do not want to add up totals for the length. But for example, if you need to calculate any component in running length, then in that case, you may use to calculate the total of the length as well. For example, length of the skirting maybe in some cases, or maybe length of a particular cross section of maybe framing. So any type of frame I mean aluminum frame for window or mullion or curtain wall, you may require total length of that cross section of that aluminum frame. So in that case, you may also add totals to the length. In my case, I only want to get totals for the area. And that is why I've selected area as a field in this case. And I'm going to the property here. That is the last option under formatting option. And I'll select calculate totals. And for me, only area's totals will be shown in the final schedule. In this way, you can also identify to calculate totals for a particular field and also omit to calculate totals for those fields which are not required. Otherwise, Revit is capable enough to calculate totals for any numeric fields. Now moving ahead. So like I said, this schedule can give me area as a total wall. It can give me volume of the total entity of the wall. But this option will not allow me to add different layers of the material. For example, if I get back to sorting grouping or maybe fields, if I get back to fields, I do not have any such option about material except structural material. I can only identify one material that is used for a structure in this schedule. I'm going to add this structural material in my fields. And if I accept this, as you can notice, only structural material is identified in this case. Although in the beginning of this schedule creation of walls, I've shown you that these walls, for example, if I get back to ground floor again, this wall is actually comprised of 4 different materials, as we have discussed earlier. But in this case, only structural layer is, or any material where structural material is checked on, will be identified under schedule and quantities option. For example, if I check off this option, that is structural material, let's see what happens. I'm going back to schedules again of wooden partition schedule. And as you can notice, this structural material is not shown here. So if we are not checking on that property of a structural material inside its family property, I'm not able to identify structural material schedule, a structural material under my schedule and quantities option. For example, if I get back to again ground floor, selecting this wall again and getting back to the structure of this wall and checking on this structural material option, which is only available for the structural layer, we can assign different functions to the layers. So I have assigned this layer a structural layer. If I check this option on again, only this option, this wall, this material will be identified under the schedule and quantities option. Similarly, For example, if I need to identify, if I need to itemize all the material of these layers, I need to change my schedule type. Instead of going by schedule and quantities option, I need to go for material takeoff. So I'm going back to create a new schedule because this schedule is good enough for counting the elements to get the entire volume of the total uh, entity of the component, entire area of the component, but it is not good enough for segregating different materials as a separate uh, as a separate field or as a separate line of item. So I'm going for a material takeoff this time. I'm going for material takeoff. And as you can notice, this material takeoff dialog box looks similar to the dialog box which we used for getting the schedules. Here we are also getting categories according to discipline. I'm going only for architecture discipline, or we may also switch to other disciplines, and more families will keep on adding in this case, as you can notice here. I'm only going for architecture discipline. And I'm going for walls option. I'm just calling this wooden partition wall material schedule. I'll accept this name. And similarly, I'm also getting similar kind of fields which I got for schedule and quantities option with the addition of material properties. Like as you can notice, this much of material related fields are additionally available in material takeoff. So we can use these material related properties and can create a material takeoff for a particular type of component. Again, I'm starting with family and type to identify the type of wall which I'm going to use. Then I'll also add the total area of the wall. Then I'll also add total volume of the wall. I may also add width again, which I've also added earlier. And then I'm going by material properties now. So I'll select material name here. I have this material name property, which was not available under material under schedule and quantities option. This is only available under material takeoff. I'm going by material name. Then I'm going for individual material area, then individual material volume. And if you are working for structural material quantities, then you can also get material related unit weight. You can also get material related description, cost, comments, and there are different options available. During our Q&A break, one of the attendees asked a question about if paint can be registered as a material under material takeoff. Yes, as a paint, you can also add a material in this case. I'm adding I'm also adding this field to clarify, I think, that question, to address that question. So, and I'll also add description of the wall so that we can filter out only dry walls from other type of walls. I'll accept this, and I've got another list of families. I need to organize my schedule first. For that, I'll go for sorting grouping. I'll choose to sort them by family and type with header on it. Now you know the significance of using these. I'll go for filters, and I'm only filtering description-wise those walls which fall under the description of dry walls. I'm only focusing on dry walls in this example. I'll accept this, and as you can notice, these two schedules are of same components. As you can notice, this schedule is only comprised of wooden partition, but it does not have so much fields. In this case, I've got only 7 fields. I'll zoom in, and as you can notice, only 7 fields are given here. Because in this schedule, number of components are counted. Whereas in material takeoff, this schedule is capable enough to quantify, to add items according to the materials which we have used. Like in this case, single wall having 4 material, each wall is having 4 material. So if I get the total of this schedule as a count, for example, I'm going for counts and totals. 27 families are registered in this case. These are not registered according to the families. These counts are actually according to the material. So materials are given priority in this case. So for example, now we can also sorting grouping according to the material name and can create group of different materials. So as you can notice, different materials are grouped together and we got different materials in this case. You might notice here that some of the materials are not applied as a paint. For example, some of the materials are applied as a paint. Most of the materials are actually intrinsic to the wall family, but some of the materials are also applied as a paint. This plaster white was not the part of family itself. For example, if I revise back to, okay, I'll save it. I've got a warning to save this project as well. So if I get back to ground floor again and select this family of wall and check its properties again, as you can notice, there was no such material by the name plaster white. Then why that material is shown in that schedule? Because that material was applied by applying paint here. For example, if I isolate only this family in 3D, I'm using a technique called section box to separate this wall in 3D. And as you can notice, half of the wall is having another face. This technique can be done by splitting the face. I'll do it again here. For example, you go for split face option. Those who know Revit well can understand this better. So you can go for a split face option and can split any desired face. For example, I've selected this face in this case. This face is highlighted now, and I can split it in two halves, for example. I'm taking an offset of 4 feet, that is 1200 mm, and I'm creating another line here to divide this face. I'm not adding another layer, another physical layer to this wall family. I'm just editing in place. Now I can go for the paint option, which is available under Modify tab, and can choose one of the materials from the list of materials I have got. And as you can notice, this plaster white is available here. So on the other side of this wall, I've actually applied this plaster with the same technique, just by splitting the face, and I've added this plaster by paint. And I did this with several wall families. That is why I've got multiple entries for plaster white as a material as well. For example, I've got here 4 entries. If I add another layer of plaster as a paint again, I'm going back to 3D of this project. I've already splitted this wall into 2 halves vertically, and I'm going for adding paint here. And this time, let's suppose I'm not adding plaster white, just for experimenting. Let me apply paint sienna. I'll select this paint sienna and I'll add it here as well. And this is now added on the around half of the wall. And if I get back to material takeoff of this wall, as you can notice, paint sienna is also added as a item in my material takeoff as well. Now coming back to the question which I got during Q&A break, that if materials applied via paint can be quantified as under our schedule, yes, these can be quantified here. These will only give area, because obviously paint will not have any thickness. So any material, as you can notice, all those materials which are applied by paint, any material which has this property as yes for applied as paint, do not possess volume in this case, because these are all applied just like a paint, and paint doesn't have thickness. So if you need to get area for any kind of plaster or cladding, you can also, and if you do not require volume for that, so in order to save modeling time and to also save your project file size, you can also use this technique to apply finishes by using only paint option. Although if LOD for your project is more than 350, then I would recommend not to use this option. So for example, I have applied this paint Sienna by paint option, and now it is registered as another field inside our wall material takeoff. We are now left with 15 minutes to finish this webinar. This is a 2-day workshop, so I think there are a lot to discuss, which we can discuss tomorrow. Today now we will open for Q&A. Pallavi, is there anything which we need to cover more?
No, I think it's fine. We have a lot to cover tomorrow as well.
Right. So
Yeah.
before wrapping this up, I'll just compare these two together. As you can notice, I've already composed a sheet to compare between material takeoff. In this case, I've taken the same example of wall. In schedules, only number of walls are as a component will be registered, and under material takeoff, material according to on the basis of material, basically we got a schedule, and every material will be registered as a line of item in this case. On this note, we'll close today's session. Now we are open for Q&A, and tomorrow more exciting things are aligned. We will discuss more about formatting and adding thumb rules to our schedule as well. We can also generate custom parameters, custom fields for our schedule, which are not available directly. We can also discuss about live link between Revit and Excel by using Dynamo. So please stay connected. So now we'll discuss about the question. I've got few questions here. Pallavi, can you please help me sort these questions? We have got
Yeah.
so many questions.
Yeah, today we've got a lot of questions. So one of the question is it possible to export schedules or quantities into Excel directly?
Yes, there is a way, although we'll discuss that in tomorrow's session. You need to be connected. So please stay connected, and then we'll discuss that in detail.
Sure. Also, is this the same schedule properties available for MEP schedules?
Yeah, for MEP, these are also similar properties. If you want me, I can also, if you allow me, I can also show one example where we have another project where we extracted MEP quantities as well. Since I'm an architect and I actually relate to architecture and structure more, so that is why I'm giving examples more from the architecture discipline. But if you allow me a minute, I'll share my other screen.
Sure.
I can open MEP model. I've opened few models on my background, and I'm sharing back my other screen. I think my screen is visible. Pallavi, if you can
Yes.
confirm.
Yes.
Okay. So as you can notice, this is one such project which is we worked for a client, and this was done in parts in different blocks. So just to give you an idea, I've opened this architecture part of it. Now I'm switching to MEP model, because in order to for a smooth workflow, what we do, we actually create a different disciplinary model in different files, and then we club together. So I have another file opened here, and this is one part of it, that is block A and B. And basement services I have opened here, that is under the 3D plumbing services. I'll just show plumbing services here. Okay. And as you can notice, these are pipes. Okay, I'll change the detail level so that pipes will be shown in 3D also. These are just line works. And as you can notice, pipes are color coded. Red pipes are drainage pipes. Blue pipes are supply pipes, and green ones, I think, are rainwater harvesting pipes. And in this model, we have also created a schedule. So we have a pipe schedule here, and these pipe schedules are divided according to their types. Like first group is about rainwater harvesting pipes. Then second group, I'll zoom out and get back to the second group. Second group is actually about soil pipe, and similarly, we have different groups of pipes in this case. It's a long schedule. Then pipes are actually fitted by using different fittings. As you can notice, there are different types of fittings available. And in order to procure those fittings on site, we need to also quantify these fittings in the form of counts, in the form of numbers. For that, we have this pipe fitting schedule. And these schedules are again sorted according to the families. Like in this case, this PVC bent for I have less knowledge about MEP because I'm from architecture discipline. But as you can notice here, the name of the family is specified, and 247 of such kind of components are required. Similarly, different components are shown in this case. I hope this answers that query.
There is one question when like 2-3 people asked together, like when we calculated the volume of structures in the columns, there were different volumes for the same column. So can you please show the difference, why the volumes were different there?
Yeah, I'll show my project again. In my structure column family, there are variations in volumes because yes, I think it's a very negligible difference. This is actually some error in our modeling. And in this way, we can also check modeling errors. Like in this case, it's a negligible error, although 0.28 meter cube, and this is point. So there's a difference of 0.02 meter cube. And I think the person who has asked this question, there are two reasons to it. One might be not properly modeling these columns. Another reason might be that there are some columns which are overlapping with other structural components. Somewhere they are overlapping with beams, and in some places they are actually overlapping with a floor plate. So when concrete of a floor, beam, and column overlaps, what we do, we actually remove some of the volume from one of the components, so that double counting of the material will not be taken place. So this is one of the reasons that in few places these quantities are actually having different values. I hope this answers the question.
Yeah. So
if you want to learn more about these differences, you can also contact us separately, and we can also give you more insight about these. We also run few training programs related to this. Okay.
Thank you. There is another question. As you said that it's a long question too. As you said that in Revit, we need to be more focused on modeling, and rest of the things like 2D drawings are taken care of by the software itself. So I want to know that can we change the presentation of 2D drawings like text, font sizing, hatch, overall drawings, layouts?
Obviously. Yeah. And that is the whole purpose of delivering the project. Because at the end, when you deliver project on site, drawings needs to be delivered on site. So for construction, actually drawings are delivered. So like in my case, you can notice that I have, for my working, I've kept another plan view. I work mostly in this plan view. For my presentation, I've created another copy of the same plan view. And as you can notice, this is for the presentation purpose. Similarly, I have composed few sheets in this case. This sheet is solely for presentation purpose. And here I have created a small architectural kind of working for conveying my design idea. Although the original view didn't have all those workings in this case. Original view was looking like this. I actually changed the color of the walls, the color of the components. I also changed the transparency of few of the components. I added few dimensions. I have a panel by the name annotation. So those who are curious can also explore this panel, and we can also add dimension and text according to our requirement. Like this was the original view. And after adding text and annotative element, this view was looking like this. So yes, you can do, I'll just show you one more example. Like if I go for, if I want to also color code my drawing, I do not require Photoshop for that purpose. So for architects, we sometimes do presentation in colors. For example, if I'll quickly show one option. We can also add colors to my drawing just by 2 clicks. First click is on my screen. Another click is by changing the scheme. For example, I'm going for rooms by their names, and according to the names, the color scheme is automatically applied here. So now this looks more presentable. So in front of you, just by 2 or 3 clicks, in few seconds, I have just created a presentation out of it. So yes, we can also, and this is good enough to present in front of client. And if you do it this same process in Photoshop, this will obviously take at least half an hour to 1 hour to complete this job. So yes, you can also add 2D details to your drawing and can issue drawings according to your requirement. I hope this answers the question.
Yeah, thank you, sir. There's another question. Can we take generic family quantity schedules like bench seatings and all small furniture components?
Yes, we can take that. Like in my case, these geometries are actually created by using generic model only. These are just custom made geometries by these are created by using in place families. Like we discussed about, there are 3 types of families. This is one of them. This is under the category generic model. Similarly, you can go for the schedule and quantities, go to the view tab, go for schedule and quantities or material takeoff, whichever suits you according to your requirement. And then under different, if I check on all the disciplines, for example, I've got all the categories in this case. And those categories which are not quantified under a specific category, you can find it under generic model. Like for example, if I press G, I've got a generic model as a registered category in this case. And I can also get generic model quantities. So I hope this answers the question. Rest is the same, that you can get all those fields in this case.
Right. There is a very interesting question that has come up. Will the collaborative schedule, will we get the collaborative schedules when different discipline teams will work on the same project?
Yes, we can do that, but that is not that easy. For that, you need to actually get to understand about the collaborative part of Revit, and for that you can contact us separately. But that is possible.
Okay. There's another question. How do we add interior furnitures like we do in SketchUp from Warehouse?
Yeah, I'm using Revit 2021's latest version. Now 2022 is also launched. This is 2020, as you can notice in my heading on the title of this software, that is 2021.1.2. So every year Autodesk releases updates for software. So in this updated version, or if you are using the latest one, that is 2022, you go to Insert tab. There you get online support for your family as well. Get Autodesk content. In that case, you can install a library from the online sources as well. Otherwise, there are many websites available. One of them is, I'm forgetting the names, but yes, there are several websites from where you can download different libraries, same as SketchUp as well.
Right. Another very specific question. Is it possible to bifurcate phase 1 and 2 quantities from a single floor plate?
Yeah, that is possible. First of all, you need to, for example, if I select these 2 walls, or maybe I'll get to the wall schedule itself, which I've already created, dry wall schedule, or maybe wooden wall schedule, which I created in front of you. Suppose this wall, 3 of these walls are created in some other, or maybe we can also add floors. So I'll just quickly wrap it up. So I'm going for fields and add level also, so that we can identify on which floor these walls are placed. Base level, that is base level, base constraint, yes. So you need to actually identify according to the name of the parameter. So if you go to the walls, in this case, for example, if I select one of the walls, base of the wall can be identified from the base constraint, and top of the wall can be identified from the top constraint. So you need to actually search for the same name under its schedule fields as well. So I'm going back to schedule in this case, that is wooden partition schedule, and another field for base constraint is added. Now what I'll do, I'll divide my walls floor wise. So I'm going to add sorting and grouping. I'm going to group my walls according to floors now. That is base constraint. I'm adding header there. I'll click OK. As you can notice, two groups are created. On plinth level, these kind of wooden walls are only of two walls are placed. On the first floor, there are 5 walls which are placed here. And I think I do not require the schedule. I can hide this. I'm hiding this column. Now, floor wise, for example, of these 5 walls, 2 of the walls were created in some other phase. You can simply add a field called phase created and a phase created parameter. And once this parameter is added, you can choose another phase. For example, 2 of these walls are created in some other phase. I'll change its phase to another one, and those walls are now switching back. For example, I'm changing their phases now. And you can see the changes in my schedule as well. Now I want to specifically show only those phases. Go for view tab. Just a minute. Okay, I'll add another property that is demolished for a while. And suppose these are demolished in new phases. And instead of these, another, yeah. So, okay, I'll just accept this for a while because there are changes in my model as well. Like I said, okay, this works collaboratively, so my rooms are getting deleted. Anyways, just to answer your question, I'm just modifying my model. And I just want to focus only on existing phase. As you can notice, in my existing model, I have got this much of walls. And for another phase, I've got more walls in this case. Right? So phase-wise, you can switch between schedules as well. Although I've messed up my model for your answer, I'll just rectify these changes and undo these changes. And to know more about these, you can also join us separately. But I hope this answers your question.
Yeah, this is a lot technical one.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of questions that are still coming up, and we are up with the time. So I think we can answer these questions via mail, and we'll continue with the workshop tomorrow.
Yeah, sure.
So thank you, everyone. We'll continue with the session tomorrow at same time, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye.